people won't realize like the stuff you do behind the scenes, and people won't realize the stuff you do to survive classes, and people won't always see that. But just know like that you have to do that stuff, and you have to keep your head down and just keep working because it'll pay off eventually.
Welcome to episode 269 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. Just when we thought spring had sprung and we were done with the cold, Old Man Winter shows back up and reminds us that, yeah, it's still March. Now, that being said, there is no shortage of storylines in the baseball world this week, so let's get right to it. The accolades keep racking up for Vauxhall Academy grad and Sylvan Lake Gulls hurler Ty Boudreau. He picked up the Western Junior College Athletic Conference Pitcher of the Week honors after allowing no runs on 3 hits, 2 walks, and 11 strikeouts in a 7-inning complete game to help guide Midland College to a 7-0 victory over El Paso Community College. The Texas Tech commit is now 5-0 in 7 starts this season with 67 strikeouts and a 2.93 ERA. Speaking of great pitching performances, how about Edmonton's Cole Hubner? The AHP Academy alum threw 5 shutout innings, allowing just 2 hits, no walks, and striking out 8 for Indian Hills Community College as they rolled St. Cloud 18-1 on March 15th. On the hitting side, Dawgs Academy product Ned Seklick is on another level with Dakota State University, and he went off this weekend, hitting .625 with a home run double. Get this, 10 RBI and 4 runs scored in a 4-game sweep of Mayville State. He's now on a 5-game hitting streak, batting .347 on the campaign. St. Albert minor baseball and AHP Academy alum Will Gardner continues to be a force with the Mount Mary Lancers. He hit his 3rd home run of the season on Tuesday while boosting his average to .377 with 20 RBI and 21 runs scored in 25 games this season. Another force has been Dawgs Academy and Okotoks Dawgs utility man Logan Grant, who had a streak of 3 games with a home run over the weekend for Bellevue University against Valley City State. He now has 8 home runs on the season to go along with a .337 batting average and 25 RBI. Elnora's Cleary Simpson hit his first home run of the college season on Tuesday as his Northern Kentucky Norse outlasted Ohio 18-13. The Sylvan Lake Gulls alum is now hitting .286 with 13 RBI and 7 stolen bases. Fellow Central Alberta product Gavin Galenza also hit his first bomb of the season with Colby Community College in a 13-11 loss to Barton. He's now hitting .322 with 8 RBI and 16 runs scored in 18 games. A little closer to home and some news from the West Coast League's Edmonton Riverhawks. They've hired Sherwood Park product and former Toronto Blue Jays prospect Tanner Kerwer to be their new hitting coach, while former Medicine Hat Mavericks manager Mark Goodman has been named their pitching coach. The Riverhawks start their season on the road in Bellingham on May 31st. A big shout out to Vauxhall Academy grads and former roommates Adam Macco and Damiano Palmigiani as they took part in the inaugural MLB spring breakout with the Toronto Blue Jays. Macco started the game against the Yankees while Palmigiani came in as a replacement. Both are expected to start their seasons in the minors. On to this week's guests, and we're taking you back to the U.S. college scene with a trio of guests paving their own way. We first got to know St. Albert minor baseball and Dawgs Academy product Max Hartman on episode 149 of the podcast, which actually takes us back to September of 2021, believe it or not. He was fresh off being named to the Baseball Canada Junior National Team, which had played in that friendship series against the U.S. following the pandemic. He's since gone off to school and is now a sophomore at Washington State University, where he's been a spark plug at the top of the batting order this season. He started the year with a 10-game hitting streak and was recently back in the news for a 6 RBI performance against UC Riverside. Hartman is now hitting .344 on the season with a home run, 23 RBI, 16 runs scored, and 9 stolen bases. Max, thanks so much for joining us back here on the podcast.
Yeah, happy to be here. It's been a while.
It has been. What a way to start the season. That's where we'll start. You started things off with a 10-game hitting streak. What was going well for you in the early going?
Yeah, I was really just being confident at the plate and not thinking too much into it, and just trying to put a good at bat together every day, kind of just to hit a day, and then it just kind of continued.
Then you had a 6 RBI game just a week or so ago. Things have been going really well on that front. Did you look back on that one and go, what the heck is going on? Like, that doesn't happen every day where you get 6 RBI in a game.
Yeah, I mean, I put in good positions to hit, and I put a couple good swings on a ball. It obviously RBIs is quite a few, and I don't know if I've ever had that many. So like that was pretty cool to look back on and just be like, wow, I got pretty blessed that day.
When you look at this season to this point, what has been key to that success as a sophomore and really kind of picking up where he left off last year?
Yeah, I mean, with the little opportunity I had last year, I worked really hard over the summer and worked really hard in the fall, and we got a new coaching staff. So I obviously have been working with them too, but I've just been keeping my head down and got a couple opportunities in the spring, and then I just kind of accelerated into the season.
How would you grade your performance to this point this year?
I mean, I think I'm doing pretty well. Obviously, I have a whole bunch of teammates that support me and stuff, and my parents obviously support me a bunch. It's been pretty cool. I try not to think about like too much of pressure and stuff, and I kind of just go up there and hit. I don't really like have too much of a crazy like pre-game anything like approach or anything. I kind of just go up there and try to have fun. So
well, certainly it's working out for you. Take us back to last year, that first year in a big school like that. How was the transition in your eyes?
yeah, I mean it was a lot, but Okotoks set us up, and I keep telling them this to this day is how well they set me up for like transitioning to D1 baseball. Like the weight system that we had, it wasn't crazy different, so my body was like already pretty much there. And yeah, honestly, like the pitching that we saw, obviously with Team Canada too, and Okotoks when we traveled, the pitching was a lot of similar stuff. Is obviously more polished guys at the D1 level, but yeah, I mean it made the transition a little bit easier. But obviously this year I'm coming in a little bit more into my own and more confident at the plate.
What was the biggest learning curve for you heading into that freshman season?
Honestly, just trying to manage university and classes, baseball and school, and then obviously relationships too. So it was, I think that was probably one of the hardest things, just because of we were away with school ball so much.
And it's not like you're taking a regular class or anything like that either. I was looking it up earlier. You're an engineering student. Like that's probably one of the hardest programs to take while also being an athlete, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely not easy. I loaded up my fall this year, so it's a pretty hard fall. Lots of stress at sometimes, but like I said, like we have a good support system. Our academic people here help me out a bunch, and obviously when I talk to my parents and stuff, they're very supportive and help me out a lot.
For those who are maybe looking for a tip or two on managing that student athlete, they always say there's a reason student is first, but what is it that's allowed you to be able to excel in both? What do you have a tip or some words of wisdom for those who are maybe struggling with that balance?
Yeah, I mean, I think just communicating with a teacher early if you need help, because they're pretty accommodating when you're an athlete. Communicating early and often, honestly, it's just because they're more than happy to help, and they like having athletes in their class most of the time. So they're pretty good with dealing with it.
Well, that's great to hear. Looking back on last year, how do you think it helped prepare you for taking on a more prominent role this season?
Honestly, like I just kind of watched last year and haven't thought about it too much. Obviously, I knew kind of what it was, what the travel schedules and stuff, and how those were going to work. So that kind of set me up okay. But honestly, this year I haven't really thought about much of like last year's games or anything. It's just kind of go out there and do the best I can for this team.
Mm-hmm. Looking at this year, particularly, you're leading off most of the time. Was that a surprise to you at all? And was that something that you were kind of working towards and comfortable being in as far as the batting order is concerned?
No, I was kind of surprised. So I led off a few times in this spring, just in inter squad games, and I was getting used to it and stuff. And then opening day comes, and I'm the leadoff hitter, and so I mean I've never hit leadoff a bunch before in my life, and so it was a little bit of a learning curve. But when I talked to my coaches about it, they were just like, just go up there and hit, like just have a good at bat. And I try to just string good at bat after good at bat together, and it kind of helps our team get going. I get to see a couple pitches and tell the guys back in the dugout what the pitchers kind of got. So I've enjoyed it. Obviously, I just got to go up there and hit. But
Did it change your approach at all going into it? Because I know you've been kind of used to hitting a little bit further down the order. Obviously, it changes during the course of the game, but especially that first at bat of the game, does that change the perspective and mindset a little bit for each this season?
yeah, I mean, like I've been a bunt threat, so I sometimes the first pitch of the game I'll lay down a bunt and I'll be safe a couple times. So like that's been cool. But approach wise, it hasn't really I haven't really thought about it too much. I kind of just go up there and just say I like have a good at bat. It's not much different than to when I'm coming up in a later inning and I'm third up. So honestly, like just based on approach, I don't really think of it, and I just say see the ball and hit the ball kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Coming into this year, did you have any expectations or goals or things that you wanted to accomplish yourself on a personal level?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just make my way into the starting lineup, and I told the coaches that in the fall when we met. I was like it was a kind of a dogfight in the outfield position, and then I told him I said I've been in that situation before, and I'll work hard enough to get that starting spot, and that was kind of my goal this year. And honestly, like just talking to my parents and stuff too, I've already accomplished like a lot based on goal wise and what our expectations were for this year even. So I'm pretty proud and happy that I've gotten that opportunity to continue to do that.
You've been performing well as a team. Obviously, you mentioned new coaching staff, that kind of thing. What's key to success moving forward and making sure that you're a playoff threat come early part of May?
Yeah, we're getting a couple bad bounces, a couple little bit of bad luck right now, but we're playing the game the right way. And I think we just have to continue to do that, play good defense, and then get a little few things worked out. But honestly, like we're playing good baseball, and we just have to execute and continue to continue to play hard every day and not take a day for granted, no matter who the competition is.
Some good stuff there. A couple of fun ones for you before we let you go and get back to the grind. What was it like watching from a distance as you watched Eric help the Dawgs win a WCBL championship last summer?
Yeah, that was cool. I mean, I was in Bellingham playing summer ball as well, and so seeing Eric play there, that was so cool. I was so proud of him. I was kind of a little bit jealous because I was missing out a little bit. I was like I wish I was there with him playing again because I do miss being on the field with him.
How cool is it to have a family so embedded in baseball? I mean, the last time you and I chatted, your mom was in the background cheering after the fact. It's still a story that warms my heart to this day. But even watching Eric do well, I mean, this family has really taken on baseball as its own, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, my dad and my mom are my number one supporters and always will be. I think like my mom loves baseball. She's coming down this weekend to watch us play Arizona State, and my dad, I call him after every game and kind of break down what I did at bats and stuff. And he's really been helping me this year, just kind of stay out from overthinking and kind of just wash every day, and then come out with a good attitude every day and just kind of just have a new day and have a new game.
Very cool. With the benefit of 2020 hindsight now, looking back at your time with Samba or with the Dawgs, what do those programs mean to you both in baseball and in life?
A lot. Obviously Samba got my career started and taught like the basics and stuff, and I'm still very appreciative of them. And then the Dogs obviously taught me a lot where it got my skills very like polished and got me ready for a D1 level, and then obviously turning me into a better person too. And they taught me how to like they polish my skills on how to work hard, and the coaches at this level and my head coaches now see the work that I put in at the Dogs and appreciate the work the Dogs did to make us better guys there.
Couple more for you. One that we ask most of the athletes here is about that advice. You get to head back to St. Albert or Okotoks, and you've got those young kids who are looking for a piece of advice on how to get to the next level and become the next Max Hartman. What is that piece of advice or those words of wisdom that you offer to them?
Yeah, just keep your head down and work hard. I think work ethic is one of the biggest things. Is you can't control like the results sometimes, but you can always show up every day and work hard. And I think I've done a good job at that throughout my life, of where I'll still work hard, even if it's tough too. And people won't realize like the stuff you do behind the scenes, and people won't realize the stuff you do to survive classes, and people won't always see that. But just know like that you have to do that stuff, and you have to keep your head down and just keep working, because it'll pay off eventually.
Savvy words. Final one for you. It's one we ask everyone, and I can't actually remember if I asked you this last time, so I'll be curious if your answer has changed if I did. What does the game of baseball mean to you?
It means a lot. Obviously I have to focus on other things as well, like school and family and stuff, but baseball is a lot. It's this year, especially being on the field every day and being able to start every day. It's a good release from the stresses of everything else, and I can just go and have fun. And it's just been a lot of fun to play this year. And it's been really, really cool to just be in the moment of baseball. And so it means a ton.
Well, it's meant a ton to us to be able to catch up with you all these years later. It feels like 10 years ago. I know it was only 3, but still glad to catch up. Glad to keep watching you succeed wherever you go, Max. Congrats on all that success, continued success going forward, and thanks again for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Always love it.
Next up, we have a pair of players from the University of UMary, one from Alberta and one from Saskatchewan. We'll start with Jaxon Zanolli, who is originally from Olds and played his high school ball with Jason Chatwood at St. Joseph's Academy. The sophomore southpaw is being counted on to be more of a veteran presence with the Marauders this season, but started the year with 3 rough outings. Zanolli managed to turn it all around in his last start against Concordia St. Paul, picking up his first collegiate victory. Jaxon, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Fresh off picking up your first victory with UMary against Concordia St. Paul, how did that one feel?
I felt really good. Kind of started the season a little rough, so it felt really, really good to get that first good one out of the way and hopefully keep that positive momentum moving forward and keep going.
Looking at that line, 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 runs, 4 walks, 8 strikeouts. What was working for you on that day?
Really, I was landing my breaking balls for strikes all day, which was big, because Concordia St. Paul they're more of a passive offensive team, so they kind of take a lot. So when I could land both fastball and breaking balls for strikes, it was really helpful to get me ahead in counts and get some strikeouts.
As you mentioned, you've had a couple of tough outings earlier on in the season. How nice was it to get that, I'll call it the monkey off your back, and be able to put that behind you and get a good W in the win column?
Yeah, it felt really good. It felt like 1,000 pounds got lifted off my shoulders. Like all the pressure I was putting on myself internally was gone. It just felt really good.
There's also that point, as somebody, again, not at the same level as you guys, but as a softball pitcher, I find the batters who are patient are the most annoying, because you have to land everything. You have to get it in that strike zone. How frustrating can that be as a pitcher, and how do you get through some of that kind of adversity when you're trying to land strikes and you're just missing it by the hair of your chinny chin kind of thing?
Yeah, it can be frustrating at times, but you just have to reel it in and focus on what makes you successful. So for me, is landing multiple pitches for strikes. So when I do that, I know that I'm good, and I know I can get outs.
On a personal level, how do you keep that momentum going heading into your next start?
Just preparing at a high level, just making sure I get a good midweek bullpen in this week, focusing on things I need to focus on and catch play, and just mentally preparing for that next start.
Mm-hmm. It's early on in the season, obviously, and so there's a bit of that knocking the cobwebs off and that kind of thing. Do you put a lot of weight into the early season starts and the early season appearances, or do you make sure that you're just improving game after game after game, so that by the middle point of the season you're feeling like you're in mid-season form kind of thing?
Yeah, I try and take the positives out of every outing, even the bad ones. So even when I struggled, I always try to find the positives there, and I take that so I can like not focus so much on the negatives, which will bring me down. Like when I focus on the positives, like I know I'm doing good things. It's not all bad. It's never all bad. So stuff like that.
It's been an up and down season for the team as well. 9-8 overall, 5-3 within the conference. How do you gauge the team's performance to this point?
Yeah, I think we're a really good team. Our offense is really special. We got some very good offensive players, and I think if our pitching gets dialed in at all, it's going to be a really, really fun season.
On that pitching front, as a group, what are you guys talking about to make sure that you hit that next level and stay in stride with that offense?
I mean, for all of us, it's about like our walk numbers need to come down. Landing breaking balls for strikes has been a struggle for the whole staff so far. So just kind of dialing in those little things and letting our defense make plays behind us and get those outs.
Is that one of the I'll call it the pressure points of being a pitching staff, especially early on? Is I mean, as a pitcher, you want to strike people out, but at the same time, there's that belief behind you that they can get the outs too.
Yeah, 100%. I think sometimes, like myself included, we try and be too fine and with our pitches and try and be too perfect, and then that gets us in trouble. Like when we fall behind in a 2-0 count, and for hitters, it's really easy to hit in a 2-0 count. So. I think just trusting our stuff and trusting our defense and knowing they're going to make plays.
You've got a lot of Canadians on that squad. I think I counted 21. So how cool is it to have that kind of camaraderie and connection with that squad?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. There's a lot of guys that I've played with at like some camps or played against growing up. So that's fun just to talk about like those tournaments we played at in high school. Like a bunch of us went to the Best of the West tournament in Kamloops. That's always fun to talk about with these guys. So, yeah, it's fun.
You mentioned the offense, and I wanted to talk about a couple of guys in particular, one from Alberta, one from Saskatchewan. One is Calum Haney. He earned Canadian Baseball Network's College Player of the Week honors a little bit earlier on in the season. What's he mean to that team? Because it seems as though, at least from the outside, he's a bit of a spark plug.
Oh, absolutely. He's our leadoff hitter, and he gets the whole show started. So when he's on base a ton, it's hard for our lineup to get out.
The other guy just picked up that same honor. What's it like sitting in the dugout watching Carter Beck stride up to the plate?
Nah, it's special. He's a special hitter for sure. He's got some crazy numbers. I'm sure you've seen them. It's fun to watch.
What is it about that offense that just seems to be clicking as well as it does? You mentioned it earlier. I mean, they're a well-oiled machine already. What is it about them that's really sticking out to you?
I think a whole big thing with our team is like how much we actually enjoy each other's company, which is a big deal for a team of 45 guys. Like, there's no one on the team that brings it down at all, which is a big thing. Everyone's feeling good when we're on the field together, and yeah.
On a personal note, you're a sophomore at UMary. What kind of expectation did you have of yourself heading into this season? What kinds of things do you want to accomplish now that you've been through the trials and tribulations of a college season already?
Yeah, I have high expectations for myself. After last year, I threw a good amount of innings as a freshman, and then I went and had a good summer in the WCBL. So I came in with high expectations for myself. Some of them were innings numbers. Like I want to throw 65 plus innings this year as a starter. I want to be named to an all-conference team, and I want to get a start in our conference tournament, and I want to help us try to win a conference championship.
Some pretty good goals. Let's get in your baseball past a little bit here, Jaxon. You're a product of Olds. What got you into baseball in the first place?
My dad. My dad's a big baseball guy. There's pictures out there of me hitting my little foam ball on the field when he's coaching when I was like 2 years old. So got to say it's him.
Were you an all-sports guy growing up, or was it all baseball all the time in your house?
No, I played all sports. I played hockey. I played volleyball and basketball. I tried badminton. Wasn't very good at it, but I tried it. And yeah, my dad played all those sports growing up too, so he was very happy to see me play those.
Very cool. So what was it about baseball that made you go, you know what, I want to chase that one?
I don't know. It was always kind of like my first passion. Growing up, it was always baseball. Like I'd always get more excited for when baseball season rolled around compared to hockey season. I don't know. There's just something about it. I don't know what it is, but there's just something about it that I can't explain that That's why I love it so much.
When you were growing up, did you have a favorite player or team?
Yeah, my favorite player, or my favorite pitcher actually, was for the Blue Jays. It was Marco Estrada when they made that playoff run.
So when did it all turn for you, when you figured out that, hey, this is more than just a game that's fun? Hey, I can chase this thing at a collegiate level maybe.
Yeah, it was about when I was like 15, 16 is like when I made the decision to go to the St. Joe's Academy in Red Deer. And that really turned my whole like baseball career around. Like I started getting in the weight room. I saw my velocity jump up about 6 miles an hour in the first year. And then I realized like, I can take this thing seriously. And I owe a lot to that program. I wouldn't be here without them.
What is it about Jason and that squad that just kind of turns the table? Because you look at the number of guys who are making an impression now, and just in the last few years here, they've really turned a corner and produced some really good baseball products up there.
Yeah, he does a really good job of getting some good talent in. Yeah, it's a special group there. It's a special like family feeling when we're back for Christmas or summer. Jason does a great job with that program, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon.
Obviously, the baseball side's one thing. What did that program mean to you just as a human being?
Oh, so much. I've got lifelong friends and memories now from that program that I will cherish for the rest of my life.
And obviously, not just with St. Joe's and Jason, but obviously the Sylvan Lake Gulls, as you mentioned last summer. You were lights out there, and you're heading back this summer. How excited are you to go back and fight for another WCBL championship?
Really excited. I really want to bring that championship home and get the first one for Sylvan Lake. I think that'd be a special feeling.
Mm-hmm. What's that rivalry with Okotoks like in the dugout? Because that team's not that old, and yet the Gulls and Dawgs have some bitter playoff experiences against one another. Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. It's all out of respect. There's no ton of respect for those guys. They're a very good team. But yeah, I want to beat them. But that's about it. Like it's fun to play against them, but I want to beat them.
100%. Have you taken a look at the Gulls roster that they've put together so far this season, and what's your early take on what the summer's going to look like from your perspective?
Yeah, I have. It's going to be definitely different. It's a lot of new guys. There's only 4 returners, and some of the Sylvan Lake favorites, if you will, are done their WCBL career. So it's definitely going to be a different feeling, but I'm excited.
Couple more for you before we let you go, Jaxon. First off, one that we ask a lot of the young student athletes coming up is when you get back to go to St. Joe's during the off season, or whether you're talking to the kids as they're watching games at UMary or in Sylvan Lake, and they ask you for that piece of advice or those words of wisdom as they're beginning their baseball journeys. What are you saying to them? What are you giving to them as a tip to maybe get to the next level?
Something that our coach always says to us is just to live in the moment, which I think is a big thing. You don't ever want to be looking too far ahead, because then you get caught up thinking about that, and then you're not where your feet are. So just live in the moment and do what you can in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Looking back on your young career to this point, any favorite memories or moments on the ball field where you went, man, I can't believe I'm here?
Probably my first college start. That was pretty fun last year against Minot State. Although it didn't go as well as I would have liked it to, it was really fun and a good experience to get that out of the way.
Mm-hmm. When you take that first start and you've accomplished one of the many goals you've got from being a kid, do you take that step back and maybe take your feet off the rubber and stand on the hill for a second and soak in that moment? Walk us through the emotions of that first start and the memories that you have of it.
Yeah, definitely a lot of emotions going into it, but at the end of the day, it's just a game. So I tried to soak it all in when I first got out to the mound, and then I try to dial it in as soon as I step on that rubber. Go get some outs.
One more for you before we let you go, Jaxon. It's one we ask everyone here on the show. What does the game of baseball mean to you?
I mean, it means everything. Like, as I said before, like I've got some like lifelong friends because of this game, and lifelong lifelong memories that I'll never be able to forget because of this game. And this game's given me a lot of fun opportunities, and I hope we can give everyone else listening a lot of fun opportunities, because it's the best game in the world.
Absolutely is, Jaxon. Well, congratulations on that first win. Congrats on all the success you've had at this point. Continued success at UMary, Sylvan Lake, and beyond. And again, thank you so much for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a good time.
And our final guest this week is Zanolli's teammate at UMary, Carter Beck. He's the latest Canadian Baseball Network College Player of the Week after going 7 for 17 over the weekend with 4 home runs and 8 RBI. The Carnduff Saskatchewan product and Saskatoon Berries recruit is now amongst the division leaders with a .452 batting average, 9 home runs, and 30 RBI. With the launch of Saskatchewan Dugout Stories last month, we thought we'd sprinkle in a few guests from the province to our east during this podcast season. So here's our conversation with Carter Beck. Carter, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
I'm glad to be joining you.
Let's start here. You are the new Canadian Baseball Network College Player of the Week after a phenomenal performance against Concordia St. Paul. How did you feel, though, about this past weekend?
I mean, this past weekend, it was pretty fun. We had our team, we probably hit 20 home runs damn near on the weekend, playing at a little bit of a smaller field, and the wind was howling across the diamond, blowing out to left field, so opposite side for me, but still worked out pretty good. And yeah, the weekend was a lot of fun. We scored probably over damn near 50 runs in 4 games, came away with 3-1, so yeah, it was pretty good all around.
You've had a heck of a season so far as well. What's been going right personally in your eyes?
For me, I think the biggest thing has just been like getting out there and realizing like these guys aren't that much different than what I faced. Obviously, it's a little bit better than pitching that I would have faced in like the SPBL, but when I went to Canada Cup and stuff, it's pretty similar to there. It's not a lot different, and just trusting myself that I can hit pitches that I know I can hit, like hitting fastballs early and hitting breakers that I know are going to be in the zone, and trying to stay away from chasing. And that's been the biggest thing for me, is just looking for pitches that I can hit and not missing them when I do decide to swing at them.
How would you grade your performance so far?
I'd say it's about going as good as I could have hoped for. There's definitely, I mean, it's really going good. I've got nothing to complain about. I was a little nervous at the start of the year when it came to it, because I actually in a fall ball game, I slid into third base at Minot and really messed my ankle up. Had to have surgery on it, so I'm just actually getting back from that. So I was a little worried about maybe getting on it and having to run the bases and stuff, but it's actually been really good. So everything's been going pretty good.
Sometimes as a freshman, you and I touched on this before we hit the record button, and there's always that little bit of a learning curve, right? You go from high school ball and ball here in Canada to heading down south and trying to find your footing, for a lack of a better term. Yet you've really seemed to set the whole division on fire. Are you surprised at all at how you've been able to make that transition seem so seamless?
Well, a little bit, and at the same time, a little bit not. I mean, I've played a ton of sports. Like, I played hockey, baseball, literally volleyball, track, almost everything. So there's been a lot of times in my life where I've been the guy showing up who's like a nobody, and he's got to go up and show out and do the best they can to even get a look sometimes. So it's like, it was just like another kind of step. I've been in this spot lots before, and I felt really confident in how especially once I got here and seeing the other guys, I felt really confident in how I'd fit in. So it didn't make it too hard for me just to trust my abilities and let the game speak for itself.
Heading into the year, did you have any goals or things that you wanted to accomplish?
I mean, I definitely I'm not afraid to set some lofty goals, so I think it's always kind of been, I wanted to be like NSIC Freshman Player of the Year. That was one of my goals kind of in the back of my mind. I never really would share it too much, but it definitely was one I had set. And that's probably the biggest goal I had. And I also wanted to sneak up. I knew at the start of the year I'd start hitting whatever 6th or 7th, but I wanted to move up to the top of the order. So, yeah, those would be my 2 main goals going into the season. And I guess I also got moved to left field this year, which I really haven't played a ton of outfield till I came here. I've never played left field. So that was probably one of the biggest learning curves coming into the season. Yeah, that was probably my main goals, though, is learn the outfield a little better, and then going. The one that I didn't tell people, right, was try and be freshman player of the year because you don't want to go around sounding too cocky, but that was definitely one of the goals I had in the back of my mind.
You got to set the goals lofty, otherwise you don't really necessarily achieve them, right? So good on you. From a team perspective, obviously, think you're still trying to get your feet under you. You've got a lot of run support. I was chatting with Jaxon Zanolli, and he was saying, listen, like, our pitching staff just needs to get everything together again. What are you guys hoping to sew together, I guess, in the next little while here to take a run at a championship in a couple of months?
I think the biggest thing for us is, like, our offense is always going to hit, right? So there's not much worry there. And our defense has been really good, too. There's a couple little things we could clean up there, but the biggest thing is our pitchers, if our pitchers can figure it out and get us be a little more in the zone and trust their guys a little more and go out there and compete just a bit better and start giving us, holding up a few more runs, we're going to be in really good shape because, yeah, I mean, the team's pretty special when it comes to the offensive side. And I think our pitchers could be really good too. They just need to figure it out right now.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned that making the transition a little bit easier was getting in tune with all your teammates. How easy does it become when you have, 21 Canadians on that roster?
That's definitely made it a whole lot easier. It makes it a lot, so a lot of guys like similar experiences, and there's not as much like outlier, I guess, when you go down there. It's way easier to connect with a lot of guys. And we also have some really good older guys on our team who, like, we got a pretty old team. So we got a lot of really good, like, 4th, 5th year, even 6th year guys that are really good guys that helped everybody become a part of the team and played a really big part. Guys I've really looked up to the whole season so far.
One of the questions I had for Jaxon as well was around what it's like to watch you come up to the plate. And he mentioned how special it was. Talk us through how confident you are when you step up to the dish.
Yeah, well, when I go up, I get my little 2 plate taps and look at the pitcher. And usually I'll always give a little look, too, to see if the pitcher's going to tip. But I'd say that confidence I walk up there with, I just go up there thinking, I'm not actually, have to lie, I don't really think when I go hit, to be honest. All I think is find a ball that's over the plate and don't chase anything that's out. And I keep my hitting approach pretty simple, and when you keep it simple, I find it a lot easier to be confident. So
it's a great mindset. Let's go back in time a little bit here. You're a product of Carnduff, Saskatchewan. What got you into baseball in the first place?
Well, probably started it would have been, my grandpa and dad played. Everybody on my dad's side played baseball. My dad was playing senior ball in Carnduff, and I think I started half bat boying for him and stuff. As soon as I could start walking, really, I'd chase down foul balls every night, be at every game, make myself enough money to go buy a freezy by the end of every game. And so that's probably what started it, go out and play catch with all the big guys who are whatever, probably not much older than I am now, but when you're little, they're the big guys. And that's probably what started it for me. And then, yeah, I just kept going with it, and then I started playing. And probably the thing when I realized, like, oh, wow, this could be, like, really fun, like, we could see I could be pretty good at this, too, is when I made the Pee Wee national team with Team Sask in 13U. And then, yeah, things just kept getting better and better after that, too. So that's probably how I'd say I started. With my dad and my grandpa who would go out and hit me tennis balls all the time, and then I'd be at every senior ball game in Carnduff, basically.
That's a pretty good start. Growing up, did you have a favorite player or team?
I was huge on Josh Donaldson when he won the MVP there in 2014 or 15, whatever that was. He was my guy. Same haircut, had the jersey. Pretty much designed my swing after him for a while. I had the big leg kick and everything. He was my guy, that's for sure.
That's not a bad one. And I had to listen to a great conversation with him on a podcast not that long ago after his retirement. And he holds Canada in a pretty special place. So very cool to hear that he had that kind of influence on you. Looking back on your young career to this point, do you have a favorite memory or moment on the field where you went, man, I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe we accomplished this?
Probably my favorite one that's like, I can't believe we just did that was in our Canada Summer Games 2 years ago, I think that'd be. In Ontario, we played BC in the bronze medal game, and the whole 7th inning was crazy. We came into the inning tied 5-5 as the top of 7, so we needed runs, and with the top of the order up, our guy up was Oakland Fodell from Clavette, I think, Saskatchewan, and he got on with a single or a walk. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he was on first base. I get called to bunt. I think it's my second time bunting in my life. I dropped down like a actual, like pretty damn near perfect bunt and got on first. So we had first and second, no out. And then guy hits a ground rule double, Corey Waters, who's at McCook now too. He hit a ground rule double to move us over, scored one. And then I was on third base and my other buddy from Carnduff came up and he had a sac fly to score me. So 7-5 game. And then we got into the bottom of the seventh. First guy comes up and hits like a double, so that made it a little interesting. And then, so that guy hits a double, we get an out. I can't remember. I think it was a strikeout or no, we don't have an out. Yeah, it's tying whatever 7-6 game is now, and Tyne runs on second base, and I get one hit to me in right field, and I make probably the craziest catch of my life. A jumpy catch, throw it in, and stops the runner from scoring, keeping the game from being tied, and then we get 2 outs in a row. That's probably the biggest moment when we win that first bronze medal, because being Sask, beating BC, and the small town, or the not small town necessarily, but the small province, going up and beating teams like that, that was just a great experience. And getting those bronze medals doesn't get much cooler than that.
That is very cool. Conversely, what's maybe the biggest obstacle or hurdle that you've had to overcome over your young career?
I definitely would have been getting hurt in the fall. I slid into third base in mine. We were playing on wet turf, and I hadn't had a ton of experience playing on turf, and I slid into third and caught my foot weird and basically separated my fib and tib and broke and fractured 3 metatarsals in my right foot. So I had to have surgery on that, and that put me out for about 3 months, I'd say. That was a big obstacle for me because I've never been a guy to do, like, I've always been busy. So sitting around for that first month of not being able to do anything was tough on me. And, yeah, that's probably for sure the biggest obstacle. I mean, it's still a little sore some days now, but it's pretty good now.
How challenging is it when you go out for that first jog around the bases and that kind of thing? Like, I worked in the football fields where, you talk to guys who come off big knee or ankle injuries, and you make that turn and it's almost like a mental block. Like, you don't want to hurt it again. Was that a bit of a challenge for you on the coming back, or did you kind of just go, let's go for it and see what happens?
I think probably the biggest two things that I've noticed, it's pretty good now, but still a little bit with the one. The one was when I first got back in like January, I was cleared to start doing stuff, was getting back into my front leg when I was hitting. I was just like, I wouldn't transfer my weight in. It was just wouldn't do it. And finally, it took like a month or so probably to get that figured out before my swing started feeling like normal again. And then the other one is leading off at first base. Even sometimes I'll hit like the hard shuffle and stop, and it just like makes me flinch. There's nothing happening when it's like there's no pain or anything, but definitely still is there, the fear of it happening a little bit.
For sure. This summer is going to be an exciting one for you, as you're one of the new signees for the brand new Saskatoon Berries. How excited are you to head back home this summer and play with a brand new team?
I'm really excited. I think the summer's going to be a lot of fun. And seeing some of the other guys like Peyton McCarg right now, he's got 13 home runs too. It seems like we should have some pretty good players on the team too. So I think we should be pretty good, and it'll be a lot of fun being the new team, I think, too.
What's it mean to you to be able to play ball at a high level like that in Saskatchewan?
It means a lot because, well, I always wanted to play on a WCBL team one year. I never really knew what team it was going to be, but definitely wanted to play in that league because I remember watching those games a little bit when we'd go to tournaments and stuff. And it definitely means a lot to be able to play back in Saskatchewan in a pretty good league too.
Couple more for you before we let you go, Carter. One is around that advice or those words of wisdom that you have for those young kids who are just starting out on their baseball journeys, and maybe you've headed back to Saskatchewan and they're looking to you. They're looking at your journey. What would you say to them if they're looking to follow in your footsteps?
I think my biggest piece of advice would be, especially coming from a really small town, is like you just got to keep going, even if at times like it seems like you're not getting the recognition or you feel like you're not, like people aren't respecting you for as good as you are or whatever. You'll always get your chance if you keep going. I mean, sometimes you might have to take a step back and do things your own way. I definitely have always done things my own way when it comes to the baseball road I've took. Just keep going with it. Trust yourself, and things will work out in the end. If you're good enough, you'll always find a way.
Fantastic stuff. And the final question is one we ask everyone: what does the game of baseball mean to you?
I mean, it means a lot. Like I don't know what I'd do without sports. So I definitely, it'd be an interesting one without sports, and the relationships and the whole like athletics part. I love it all. I love the people I get to meet, the guys I get to hang with. We have a great group of guys here too. And I love the ability to being able to compete and go out and go on a one-on-one battle with the pitcher 4 or 5 times a game, every game. The athletic, I don't even know, edge or whatever you don't want to call it, that I'm just addicted to, that I couldn't live without, I don't think.
It's been fantastic getting to hear more about your drive and determination. And again, Carter, congratulations on all the success you've had at this point, continued success at UMary and Saskatoon and beyond. And thanks again so much for joining us here on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Max Hartman, Jaxon Zanolli, and Carter Beck for joining us this week. And thanks to all of you for downloading and listening. You'll want to subscribe in your podcast app, as we have some great episodes lined up for you in the weeks ahead, including a CCBC season preview extravaganza next week. Yes, the local baseball scene is right around the corner, regardless of what you see outside. As always, we'd like to tip our caps to our platinum supporters, the Okotoks Dawgs, for all they do for us and for baseball in Alberta. Their generosity means the world to us, as we're able to cover costs associated with bringing the game stories to you. For more information on our sponsors, head to albertadugoutstories.com/supporters. Until next time, thank you for all of your support online, on social, and on air of Alberta Dugout Stories.